It is becoming a concerning social problem. The latest incident gives the trend a weighty pull on everyone's hearts: the abduction of school children in Nigeria. From the north, south, east and west, these stories of attacks abound. Now, the right to education will be very much complemented and upheld for our society to develop if the right response will be in place to address the growing number of attacks on schools. Though Nigeria endorsed the International Safe Schools Declaration in March 2015, the recent happenings have raised more questions about the existence and implementation of the initiative. What are we not getting right? And how should we move in this direction to safeguard the schools and everyone indeed? My guest on the spot today will offer suggestions on how Nigerians can play the pivotal role in assisting security agencies to protect lives and property in schools. My name is Blessing Abu. Welcome to the program. My guest is a graduate of political science and administration from the University of Uyo. He has over the years delved into security matters, collaborating with schools authorities and security formations to draft strategies that will combat insecurity in Nigerian schools. My guest heads an organization piloting security and counter-terrorism awareness programs in schools nationwide. And this is in partnership with National Parents Teachers Association of Nigeria, the National Proprietors of Private Schools, and National Orientation Agency, as well as other security agencies. He is the Chief Executive Officer, DZ Global Safety and Security Limited. Dominion Ajom is my guest. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Schools are becoming unsafe all of a sudden, or is it something that is just coming to the fore with other advancement in technology? I'm sure something is certainly wrong somewhere.
Actually, it's something that is really, really worrisome. Over the years, we have come to the point that you now send your children to school. You're no longer just worried about the grades they come out with, but primarily you get worried about, am I sure they're going to come back home to me? So that when you hear the news that children have been abducted in a school where your children are, you become worried. You have your heart in your hand until the names are read. So it's really, really bad. And I think something ought to be done to ensure that we put an end to this.
Okay. Now we're talking about safe schools and the need for development. Definitely, if schools are becoming unsafe, like you have already started talking about, definitely development cannot take place.
Never.
Now, what is making schools, or what are those things making schools to be soft targets?
You see, schools are where the future is being manufactured, and if we do not have them in place, we don't have a future. And you see, some people have this ideology that there should not be Western education, perhaps, and that's one of the reasons why they have made schools tough targets. Secondly, schools, the security in our schools is very, very porous, and our children are very vulnerable. So when they get there, they have it easy to catch away with people. It's not like other places where there's strong security, good security on ground. So that's another reason why schools have become soft target. So we feel something must be done.
Okay, now talking about what needs to be done, let's find out what you know already. You've been meeting with these different bodies, the parent teachers and the parent proprietors, and also other security agencies. What are things you found out since you delve into this aspect of safe schools and security generally?
Yeah, we feel that to really address this situation, it requires a multi-dimensional approach. And like the saying goes, security is a collective responsibility. We feel that over the years, proprietors of schools, managers of schools, operators of schools feel this security business should be left for the security agencies only, which ought not to be the case. All hands must be on deck if we must address this situation. So what I mean here is the parents themselves, just like you mentioned, NAPTAN, National Parents Teachers Association, saw the need to ensure that there is need for them, the owners of the children, to get involved in the security of their children. The same thing is applicable to the school authorities, proprietors. All hands must be on deck. And to achieve this, there is need to create awareness, to pass on information. Like the saying goes, lack of information could lead to a deformation. Where the people in school, like the teachers, the non-teaching staff, are not informed, they won't know what to do, how to do it, and when to do it in case of eventuality. So we are advocating that there is need for these people to be carried along and be properly sensitized, so that in case of attempts like this, first and foremost, they will be proactive and will be able to a kind of prevent it rather than allowing it to happen. Then secondly, in case of anything and they have an early warning sign, they will know who to get across to. Equally have the relevant numbers to contact to ensure that help comes as soon as possible.
Okay, I wouldn't know the magnitude to which you've gone around several schools in the country, and basically, what are your key observations? I keep going back to that particular questions because, or that particular question now, because we've seen the different attacks, whether public schools, private schools, those in the boarding system, and even for day students. There are different presentations, no doubt.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, like let's take for instance the incident that took place in the school in Ogun State some years back. What happened was, from what we gathered, the hoodlums visited the school 5 days earlier, opened up the fence and allowed it there and went away. Now, students from the school noticed the opening and reported to the school authority, but the school authority simply dismissed it, that it should be these area boys looking for what to steal. And I think that is because they are not well informed. That's because they are not security conscious and they are not being proactive. If they were, that's the point, that they would have alerted the relevant opportunities. We don't expect our security agencies, the police and the army, to do magic. They couldn't have known. They should have been communicated at that point, and they would have had that place under surveillance. That way, by the time 5 days later these hoodlums came to carry out their wicked enterprise, they would have been apprehended. And you will agree with me, if they make the attempt and they fail, if most of them are arrested, the next time it fails, most of them are arrested, it will serve as a deterrent to others. And the next thing is, it will be on reduction. But where they go successfully at all times, you see that it will always be on the increase, because they feel that, well, this is an easy way to get what we want. So we feel that the school authorities should be proactive and be security conscious. They should know that they have a role to play if their schools must be secured, and put everything in place. Like they have the perimeter fence in place, they make the fence a smart fence by introducing things like gadgets like CCTV cameras and all the so that they will be able to monitor even in the comfort of their homes and their offices, and possibly link them up to security agencies like the civil defense, the Nigerian police, so that what is happening there is being seen and they can act very fast. I feel when things are done like this, there will be progress.
Okay, that is on the issue of making a security infrastructure available in schools, whether physical now or some other means of technology. Now, let's get into that engagement where students also, or teachers, or generally the school personnel have this engagement on what to watch out for, who to look out for, the kind of faces that could be different. So how should they catch on that?
Thank you. Like the program we had in conjunction with the National Orientation Agency, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and even the Drug Enforcement now, and NAPTAN, National Parents Teachers Association. What we do is we make sure it was a program based on representation, where the parents will be represented, the teachers, the non-teaching staff, the children. Now we give them tips. We first and foremost let them understand that things don't just happen. Even these hoodlums that carry out this wicked enterprise, there's what they call pre-surveillance, pre-attack surveillance. They go on surveillance and they go and spy and be sure that, okay, they assess the situation. Is it are we going to encounter any difficulty penetrating? Are we going to, what do we need to? And when they discover that it's very easy for them, they strike. Now, the school, since these hoodlums are doing this, we teach them to be a step ahead of the hoodlums. What do we expect of them? They should be very, very security conscious and alert at all times. Now, they should know themselves to the point that those within the school community, those within the community are well known to them, so that whenever they sight a stranger, They know that this is a stranger. And in security, we say every stranger should be considered a suspect until it is proven otherwise. So
but what have you seen in most of the schools? Judging from what we've seen in several of the
is
schools.
nonchalant attitude, irrespective of what has happened to other schools. Those that have not been attacked, they are still doing business as usual. You can imagine a situation where we're talking to proprietors of schools and you ask them, how many of you have the police control room number of this state?
And what were the
And none of them will have it. That means they're still doing business as usual. You go, you see the security is still very porous. Most of the schools don't have fences, especially the public schools. They are not fenced. And you see who they have as security men, are this kind of people that they don't know their left from their right. They place him there to fulfill all righteousness. It's not as if he's a trained security man who is proactive and alert. So we feel that there is need for them to sit up and put these things in place to ensure that they guide against.
Okay, the Global Safe Schools initiative was launched. Okay, this should be the sixth year now.
Oh, yep.
Where are we on this, and how effective has it been so far for the reason to ask this question? Because definitely,
well, they are doing their best, but I think their best is not good enough. Not good enough in the sense that, first and foremost, like I did mention earlier, there is need for the people within the community to be informed, to be well informed. And now, when we're talking of safe school awareness, yes, it was launched. It's one thing for it to be launched. It's a second thing for the actualization of the program in individual schools. We have 774 local governments in this country, and there is none of this local government that doesn't have a school. You can't just go to a state headquarters and maybe talk to a few persons and you feel you've done something. Most often these attacks are not even done in the major cities. They are done especially in the rural areas. So we feel that more is yet to be done. More should be done. They should take this campaign to the grassroots where we are having these attacks. So that's my thinking.
Okay. Dominion Ajom, we'll be going on a break now. When we return, where is the place for everyone to step on board to take a look at safe schools and the security of all? You mentioned the issue of the community, especially in the rural areas.
Yeah.
Of course, that is not absolving the fact that urban area schools could be attacked as well. But
true.
What is the individual role and what is our collective role as residents of such school areas? We'll be finding out from you, and what more we need to do differently in a short while. You're watching On The Spot, and our focus is on safe schools and security with Dominion Ajom. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. If you just tuned in, the program is On The Spot, and I still have my guest, an expert on Global Safety and Security Limited, that's the Chief Executive Officer, DZ Global Safety and Security Limited, Dominion Ajom, and we're taking a look at safe schools and security. Yes, we already started mentioning some of the areas that we have sore points in the issue of security lapse. The community is very important, but then the individual too need to be trained on what to see and how to actually raise the alarm when they need to be.
That's very true. Like I opened up in the beginning, I said this requires a multi-dimensional approach and all hands must be on deck. Now, looking at the community, we've had so much about community policing. Now, these children we're talking about that are being abducted from schools, they belong to the same communities. Their parents are there. So now the community should see they need to be involved. How can they be involved? When we're talking about community policing, they should be able to form committees that will be working in synergy with the schools, so that by the time they know themselves within the community and they sight a stranger, don't forget, these people don't fall from the moon to come and attack. You see, sometimes they come within the society, the community, they sit down in beer parlors, drink, get themselves ready, observe the situation and everything. So if the community is fully involved, they have like committees on security that will be able to have the entire community under surveillance at all times. These people will be able to fetch out those strangers when they come and see them as suspect and now report to the relevant authorities, raise alarm that, look, there are a group of persons, we don't understand their movement, we are suspecting them, then leave it to the relevant authorities. They will get them picked up and know exactly how to get information from them. Now, by the time things are done like this, you discover that we'll be able to stop the attack from occurring, because these are the same people that will carry it out. So if they do this, and constantly they should be holding meetings where the parents will be involved, the school teachers from time to time, or proprietors or principals as it were, so they could discuss, and they have like weekly reports or monthly reports on security, on activities within the area. If they can be doing this, you discover that everybody will be alert. Then the children themselves should be taught what to do at all times. Now, for instance, in a school during break period, it is not advisable for the children to go outside to play. They should be within the confines of the school for security reasons. And the students should be told also that when they see strange faces, they should see them as suspect. When they call them, beckon on them, come take biscuit, do this, they should avoid them and run back to the school.
There are some other instances. Some of the schools that were attacked in the past, of course, you know, across the country, or even northeast, northwest, there were schools, boarding schools, beautiful, attacked in the middle of the night. And some of what could such students have done? And
well, that is actually at that such attacks is not the place of the children, because of course you know the children are very, very vulnerable. Yes. They cannot help themselves. But in that case, the schools should, having known that this has been happening, you know, they should step up their security to the point that now when they beef up their security, they have like, maybe like I did mention earlier, like CCTV cameras, and they have a way of reaching out to the police station that is there, or patrol teams that are working within there within the shortest possible time. If they can put things like that in place, and they have, like I did mention, most of, like, you remember the incident that just happened in Niger State? Yes. When they were interviewing the security man, he said he was sleeping. That's a sleeping security man. He was sleeping. He didn't hear anything until when the people had abducted the people and were going out with them, they were shooting. It's the gunshots that woke him up. So they were not alert. But if they have a good security in place, you discover that they should have noticed when these people are about entering. And if that is done, you discover that it will be easier to inform the relevant authorities to come, and you discover that they will be able to repel them. Yeah.
Of course, we know that different areas have their own level of risk. Yes. So for such high risk areas that we've seen, especially, what will you be advocating in terms of addressing this means? Whether some special provisions to actually, yes, you've talked about some, but definitely we know the different areas, what I could say, have the different risk levels. Very well, like you have rightly said, those areas that are high risk areas should be given a special attention. Now, for instance, like the Niger incident, is it Kakara they call the place? Kagara that they call the place. You know, I saw the area. It's an area that you will agree with me that you could best say has been abandoned. The school does not look like a secure school. You can imagine that, say, they were even hosting members of the community. They were taking refuge there. When they have not been able to secure the students themselves, they brought in more people. I feel the government at that level, beginning from the local government to the state government, knowing this is what is happening in the society now, should have stepped up their security at that point. And if need be, they can introduce a checkpoint very close to that school, so that peradventure there is a threat, they can act in good time. And also, if you observe, the fence was nothing to write home about. They should have raised the fence, make it in such a way that access will be difficult. So they should control the access to the point that before anybody gains access, any assailant gains access, he meets with some difficulty, some resistance. And during that period, the security man will be able to raise alarm that will bring in a counter force to be able to repel them. So that's my thinking. All right. I know for schools now, because since we're taking a look at schools, we've talked about what schools could do differently. Parents to students as well, because we always say security is everyone's business. Very well. So from the home, for those who will be going on a daily basis as a day students, not necessarily now boarding students, what's charge?
Very well. Let me say something. Now, normally there's a formula we give to them. When we talk to parents, we tell them that they should introduce what we call password to their children. Let's take, for instance, like the nursery schools where people go pick them up and everything. We introduced something like password. So there was an incident that took place in one of the schools. Somebody, parents who have attended, they gave their child a password. So somebody went to pick up the child to actually kidnap the child. So when he got there, he said, I have come to pick so and so person, and the school teacher simply asked the child, do you know this uncle? The child said, yes, I know this uncle. He said she was now packing his lunchbox and school bag to hand him over. The child, a 5-year-old child, said, auntie, not so soon. He said, Uncle Nick, did you say my mom sent you to come pick me up? He said, yes. He said, uncle, what's the password? The man was looking, astonished and dumbfounded. He said, I am telling you, your mom say I should come and pick you up. Why are you asking, what do you mean password? Are we in a computer lesson? The child said, if my mom send you to come pick me up, my mom would definitely give you a password. He now went backward. The auntie herself was confused. The uncle was confused. So when the uncle knew that the little child meant it, he wanted to get to leave. Now the auntie allowed him to go. And the boy turned to the auntie. This uncle has become a kidnapper. You just saw somebody came to kidnap me and you are letting him go. The auntie raised alarm. And they apprehended him at the security, kept him there because he had demobilized the woman's phone. They couldn't reach the mom. They now had to look for a way to reach the dad, and both the mom and the dad came to school. When they came, they asked, what happened? They said, do you know so and so man? They said, yes. He used to be a friend. They had a misunderstanding. He threatened he was going to deal with them. They never knew how he was going to. That's why threats should not be taken lightly. But this is how he wanted to carry out his wicked enterprise, by kidnapping their son. They now ask that, oh, so what's this password your child is talking about? And they said, Junior, tell them what's the password for today. He said, Indomie and egg. That was the password. So whosoever was going to pick that child
should have mentioned Indomie
and egg. And the child will go with, will be sure that the parents send. That's one of the things. So we should equally tell our children they should mind the kind of relationship they keep. We have had a case, an incident happened in my own state, Cross River State. An incident happened where a child picked up his bag and left home. They have a curfew in their home that you don't stay out beyond 7 p.m. Now, this young man picked his bag and his friend next compound that they were going to school. Unicar. They were to go to school, but they didn't go to school. They went in a friend's house. And this friend was a bad guy, a gay, and was making advances on the young boys. They refused. They stayed there from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. By 4 p.m., one of them left that he was going to play football. This one was still playing games on the television. Do you know that that same guy arranged for his kidnap? By the time he left the place, the father got home and the mom said, please don't drive in. So I almost called the person's name. Never has not gotten back home. So the father was wondering. He went to the friend's house. But what happened? That young man was not found on. I was personally involved. I met with the assistant commissioner of police. We were working with the anti-kidnapping squad, but we were able to get this guy. How did we do it? I went back to that house, and the Lawrence of a guy was arrested. And at the end of the day, that child was recovered. How? He called his people, said, "Begay don't gas so. I have to release him, otherwise we are all in trouble."
So everyone's security is very key.
Very, very key.
Parents, students, school authorities.
That's very true.
So this development, this present development, we must get on top of it.
Very well.
And for schools development to be enhanced, like I said at the beginning of the program, there must be the protection for school and education.
Very true.
What key message will be your final word as we round up this discussion?
Very well. The government is trying, but they need to do some more. The security agencies are doing their best, but their best is yet not good enough. They still need to do some more. So we are saying that the parents, the teachers, the proprietors of schools all should see themselves as being involved in this fight. They should not sit back and feel that because they are still kidnapping, the security system in this country has failed. They must learn to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. How do you become part of the solution? By being informed, getting the relevant information, knowing what to do, how to do it, and when to do it when occasion warrants. That is for the part of the school owners, the part of the parents. Then for the security operatives, they should know that it's not enough for them to be just following our big men and politicians enough. It's not enough. They should deploy people to those risk areas so that even need be even plainclothes policemen. Do you know that because of this high level of insecurity, I just started a transport company, and I intend that every driver in that transport company must be a security must be trained as a protective driver by the police and the security agencies, so that while on transit, everybody is security conscious. In case of eventuality, he knows what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. So all hands must be on deck.
Dominion Ajom, Chief Executive Officer, this is Global Safety and Security Limited. We appreciate your time and insight on the program.
Thank
and
you
we
very
also commend the efforts so far with the different groups we're working with. Let's say converse more to have our schools safe and secured for education to be intact and to take it to where we're going to. That's on the spot for this week. We appreciate your time. Hope you find time to join us on the next edition. Certainly it will be with another interesting guest. My name is Blessing Abu. Goodbye.